Hey, Mud Family. Wanted to share with you some test results. Another client has sent me a box of their local clay subsoil to mix up and play with and see how it does as a cob or a plaster, and what it might need to make it better. It's a fun little practice we do together. And this one from Eastern Pennsylvania, this lovely red sandy clay. It's not perfect. I mean, it's got a lot more clay in it than sand, which is not ideal, but we can work with that. Definitely has some gravel in it. Picking out little rocks the whole time we were making cob with it. This is a really nice basic mix we've been using. This is about 2 parts chopped straw and 1 part of that sandy clay, and it dries up nice and hard. It's hard to scratch, it's hard to break. That fiber reinforcement acting as aggregate really does a good job. We've made a lot of cob with this last week over at their place. But they asked me about plasters. They wanted a smooth finish for the heated earthen floor that we're working on out there. And so I came back and I mixed up a bunch of different recipes. Let's see how they turned out. This right here is this exact stuff. The sandy clay with straw. There's 1 part sandy clay and 2 parts chopped straw. And this right here, if they did nothing to it, this would be, I think, a great floor. It's set up really nice, and a little bit of cream floating to the top from the clay. I think it's going to mix with the linseed oil and set up really nice. The fiber lays down pretty well. It's difficult to break, which I really, really like. There's no cracks in it from drying it. That by itself, I think, is just fine. But they wanted to ask about other additives to see if we could make it better. They read about how you need lots of sand in your final layer of a cob floor. And I just wanted to point out our ancestors built floors out of whatever was there and did okay. And this is what's there. I would go with that, but I want to comment on these other things they asked me to comment about too. This is the exact same mix of 1 part sandy clay and 2 parts straw, but I've also added 3 parts of washed horse manure fiber. This stuff is a really good plaster additive. So once you sift it, it's a microfiber. It lays down better than the straw. Also has a little bit of a goo in it that helps the rest of the plaster stick together when you mix it in. So this, we added 3 parts of that manure to the original mix, and you can see the fiber a little better. It's a little bit rougher, quite a bit rougher. It's probably our roughest one. But it's got a lot of fiber and it is a super strong mix. And if you were to add oil to it, that oil would just sink right in and build up in that fiber, make this a really strong mat. But they were asking about, can we make it more durable by adding some sand? So this one is the 1 part clay, 2 parts straw. We also added 2 parts of manure and 2 parts of sand. And it, I don't like it as well. The sand tends to, I know it makes it stronger in compressive strength. So if I'm going to look at this and say, how's it going to handle, somebody walking on it with stilettos or a heavy couch put on it or something. We look at it. The sand should add a good deal of compressive strength, but it also adds a bit of dusting to it. It's pretty clear that sand is dusty. Now this is a uniform, it's a play sand from Home Depot. I like to get sand that my clients have ready access to. This is just a bagged play sand. I got it because it's a lot more uniform than the masonry sand or the general purpose sand that you can buy in bags. And the uniformity makes a big difference when you're doing a plaster. You want to be able to move across it with a trowel and have everything come out smooth. This is the same mix with with 4 parts of manure. So no straw, just 4 parts of manure. The same sandy clay with 4 parts of manure. This one might be the most resilient in terms of it being, when you fill it with a linseed oil or a hemp oil, that fiber is going to be a bit bouncy, like a linoleum floor. It took a lot longer to dry than these other ones. It's still not quite dry. I'll show you the same one here. So this is 3/4 of an inch thick. It's just the sandy clay and the manure fiber. And this is super strong. I can't break it. Oh, there we go. Now I've broken it. To show you what's in here, if we stop bouncing, you can see it's not crumbling at the edges like some of the straw mixes we've done. This has got a really hard to scrape surface, and again, once that's soaked with oil and then waxed, that's going to be a very durable floor surface. But this is probably the most expensive one here, in the sense that prepping all that manure fiber is just going to take a lot of time. Very durable though. This next one is 1 part sandy clay, 2 parts manure, and 3 parts sand. I'm just trying to up the sand. It does get a lot more. You can see it's a lot easier to wear that sand off the top. Now, sand makes for a stronger compressive strength cob, but I just don't like how it wears. A lot of people who swear that you just gotta have a lot of sand in, and linseed oil is gonna hold that together okay, but That dusts pretty easy for all the extra money you're spending for sand and processing that fiber. This one right here is a bit more of the manure and a bit more of the sand. So it actually doesn't seem to stick together as well as some of these other ones. See, this one right here is the most resilient, and just the stain, just the original straw in the clay seems to also be very resilient. But as I was thinking about it, thinking, okay, what do we have that's going to be the least expensive, best bang for the buck, let's say. So I went back and tested 3 of my favorites. Now first I'll say, for bang for the buck, just adding the sandy clay sifted with sifted straw fiber, chopped straw fiber, and then running through the mixture and just letting it beat, running it maybe twice as long as I would for cob to get those fibers all thoroughly beat and mixed into the clay. I'd go with that and oil it. But this one right here, this 1 part sandy clay, 2 parts straw, and 2 parts sand. This is, as you can see, got a little bit of superficial cracking as it's drying, but also compared to some of the others, it digs pretty easily. You can get that sand just kind of rolls out of there. It makes for a good compressive strength, and it's definitely strong. See, it didn't break in the middle. I had to get it in a really thin edge to get it to break along a little seam. But once I do, this crumbles a lot faster than much thinner manure cake here. This one I really have to work harder at to get it to crumble. So the sand, which again is not serving us well. This last one, 1 part sandy clay, 2 parts straw, 3 parts sand. Also very strong in compressive strength. But again, really kind of easy to gouge out that surface, just because that sand comes out super easy. Now, let me say, excuse me, all these will work for a floor once you've oiled it, and once you've waxed it. Any of these would make a decent floor. They're all quite a bit stronger than my local clay, so good enough is good enough. Even this one that had all the cracks in it, if I were to take and mix a little bit of the same after it's cracked, come back with a little bit of the same mix, ground up good, mix it with water, and make a little thin gruel to put back into those cracks, that's going to fill in nicely. Maybe, and once you do that, you come back in again one more time with the wet stuff, and then oil it. And when you're going to oil this with linseed or hemp oil, you're going to put 6-8 coats of this on with different levels of thinner in it. to let it keep trying to saturate into the floor. You want to try to get it to go in pretty well into the surface. And that's going to take the oil plus like a mineral, spirits, and my friend Tim even adds a mineral oil to it. It makes it a bit more resilient. I really like this manure fiber, but it's just so expensive to process time-wise. So if you got questions, drop me a note, info@unclemud.com. If you want to send me some of your soil to play with, we can do the same thing here. I love to do it on video live with the client, with them doing the same thing, so I can point this out to them, point out things, and they can feel it. They can do that while I'm doing the same thing, and they can feel what I'm talking about, because that visceral connection to your materials can't be beat. All right. Hope to see you in the mud soon.